Okay, for supplies, I'm using Fabriano 100% cotton cold press paper block. This is a 5x7. This is the bright white one, purple. I'm going to be using some masking fluid. I have this in my Amazon shop. It's PBO. It used to be $5. Now it's like $8 because of, everything else is going up. So yeah, and you would need like an old brush. I don't like the masking fluid pens because it just doesn't work for me well. I don't like it. You can't do a small finite kind of little things. So yeah, so we're gonna start off using this PBO, and so like for a card, 5x7, perfect. And we're gonna just kind of mask in some little areas that can be like little white flowers. So you can get really detailed if you want or not, and you can kind of just tap them or take your brush and make little daisies kind of coming up close, or just tippy tap a bunch of little flowers. And why we're going to mask them is because we're going to put some paint over it, and it's just much easier. I mean, you could, if you wanted to have true watercolor, you would mask them, and if you wanted to not, you can just always use gouache or something like that on top of it. So I'm doing a little clusters here and tapping some bigger ones, and maybe paint some bigger petals that would be for daisies towards the front, because as you get closer to the front, you would see things more clearly. I'm just going like this real quick. Some of them are kind of fat and chunky, and some are skinny and small. And you don't need to do it everywhere. It could just be one little cluster, like right here, like I'm doing here. And then you need to let this dry before proceeding, obviously, so then we could paint over it. So just a little cluster, kind of like right here. I'll do some little dots up here. And that'll be that. See that little cluster I've got going there? And I'll just let this dry. And we'll come back and we'll start to paint over all of this. Sorry about the reflection of my light, but sometimes you can't avoid it. So I'm going to mix up some colors, greens, some blues for sky. And my sky can be really kind of pale. And you can think about horizon line kind of being, it doesn't have to be a straight line. It can be just going to be right about here. Wiggling it, Trees can go here, and the sky. And I'm going to play around with putting some color in the sky. I have bright rose here. It's a little dirty, so I'm going to clean it off a little bit. Maybe a little pink sky. Add a little cadmium red light to it, just to tone that bright pink down. And let's put a little pink in our sky. The trick to not having it turn into like purple or whatever is to have the pink put down first. Here I am watering. Look at all that water. It's all very, very loose, tea consistency. And if it's too much on your brush, you just tap it on a paper towel. And I'm just going to loosely put some pink in here. Grab a little bit more water. Just putting the pink across. So you can see the little pink going there. You can get a little bit darker. Just be kind of sweet, right? Have some pink. Doesn't always have to be blue. I'll loosen that up a little bit. Pink. Now, if you can, try to make the edges softer. So what you do is you clean off your brush, have a little water on your brush, and you kind of just wiggle it and just kind of blend it. So it's nice and soft. So we don't have a hard edge. You can have a little hard edge here, or you can kind of blend the same thing. So now it's just pink, a little bit of pink is in there, and it's blended. Just blended to oblivion, so you don't even see the lines anymore. If you want to make that little pink in the center darker too, you can go and add a little bit more pink. But the edges I want blended softly. Okay. And so we don't want purple kind of happening. You can wait for it to dry. You can also just start to play with, I'm using cobalt here, cobalt blue. I'll loosen this up. And remember, we want a very soft sky. So we put that color in there. I can grab some clean water and kind of just go across here and then grab that blue and move it. And then grab the blue again. I'm just kind of doing this on an angle, leaving some white spaces. And it's going in onto the pink a little bit. And then I'll put it down here. It might turn a little purple, but that's okay. Kind of sweet. And the blue's coming down here. Just a different kind of colored sky. I'll add a little blue in here and here, leaving a little white there. Look at that. Just a different look. You don't always have to have blue on blue. Have some color in your sky. Sweet, right? And there's our pretty sky. Just really soft and subtle and sweet. All right, moving on. We're going to mix up some greens while that's drying. Just a really pretty sky. Cadmium yellow deep. My favorite go-to yellow for everything. If you want a really bright green, you can add peacock, but we're going to have a medium bright green, so I'll add a little bit of Prussian blue. Just see that? Nice light green color. I'll go back and grab some Prussian blue and a little bit of burnt umber and grab some yellow. Even more deeper than that. And if you add more Prussian blue and more burnt umber, you get nice deep, deep, deep green. So you got like 3 greens going here. You want them to get ready to go. I clean off my brush from the dark color. And have this wonderful light green, soft again, right? We can start off with this. We could add some like turquoise to it. I have a cobalt turquoise light here. Really pretty color. Just going right over my wonderful masking fluid. Now, you notice because the masking fluid, I'm putting the light green in here, you're not going to see this color, I mean the white from the light green. You really have to get some darker color around where the masking fluid is for it to pop if you want it to be white, right? That's the whole point of putting the masking fluid down, really. I'm just going to fill all of this in, wet on dry. I can start to grab some darker colors here while it's damp. Going back up here and adding the light green. See, now it's damp, so I can start to add some deeper tones. Definitely in and around where the masking has begun. With all my little flowers here. And you can kind of take the tip of your, this is an aqua, I'm sorry, number 12 Aqua Elite Princeton brush. This is great. This is a brand new kind of brush, so the tip is great. If it's brand new, you can use this tip even on like really tiny. So now I'm just going like this, making some little marks like it's grass. I feel like I want to get this brighter back here. Nice little field. A little thicker with the paint. And then I can go in with a darker paint. And start to play around with adding some of the deeper color right next to our wonderful. You know, I could have done is I also could have masked in some lovely stems, so they'd be light colored stems. You know, hindsight is 20/20. So thinking about that, I probably should have done that too, but that's okay. Get even darker still by adding thicker paint right out of the tube. There's that blue, there's that brown. Look at that, really kind of intense. So go around and leave some like light green spaces in between, so you can kind of pretend like you mask them in. I'm going around my little blooms here. I'll grab some more medium green. Playing around with this, just water it down a little bit more. It's kind of a nice medium green happening. Mixing up some more with the yellow. Now, if your paint is dried, you can go back and spray it. I'm going to add some little deeper color here. Again, I'm going to add the darker color in a section like right in here. Doesn't have to be dark everywhere, but just a nice little section. And then you get some medium greens and some brighter greens. So what I've noticed is kind of dried up here. I'm wetting my brush with a lot more water, grabbing some more loose wet greens. I can go right over this so they can kind of blend again. You can go over this many times with layering. And you can maneuver. You're wonderful. Gonna lift some of the color, which means you're taking the brush while it's damp, lifting and tapping back on the paper towel. I want a little bit lighter back here. Maybe like the sun's coming in there. And then I go back into my darker area. Again, I want it to be darker around my blooms because, so you can see them. Wisp up some grasses. This way and that way, you know, it would be like a field, so it's kind of wild and untamed grass. You can add a little bit of brown, so grab some burnt umber. Doesn't all have to be green. It can be a little brown in some areas. Just kind of play. Wild grass. Just go like that. When it dries, we'll add some more, you know, stems that are, because it's dry, you'll see them better. It's going to fill in some color down here. And I like the way that looks. Okay, so now we want to add some trees up top. Again, we'll start off with a medium green. I mixed my yellow back in here with these guys. Going grabbing some Prussian blue. A little too much yellow. And then we have that deeper green color here. It's a little too much brown. I'll add more blue. Okay. So you can play with just putting in some trees and very wet, kind of going in here. Tapping like on a side. Now this is dry, the sky. And doing some little tippy taps on the ends for our trees. And kind of putting some more up here. Kind of going across. You could even put another one, kind of a bigger one back here. Now we're just starting off with a light color. We're going to add some deeper colors to it. These are like almost like little bushes. You can have the color kind of going down to the line. Like so. Now I've got that deeper color. Kind of blend it along the line here. Tapping. All right. I'm going to take my brush, just take off some of the paint and go and do some dry brushing sideways like this. Grab some medium greens. Oops, it's a little too dark. Clean up my brush. Maneuver it. We want it to kind of blend with this area here. I'm going back. And now I'm going to get really dark blue, Prussian blue, burnt umber. Mix in with this again so it's really deep. Just kind of blend this. Just a little taps, a little blends, some deeper tones. Do do do. Even right back here. You can try and grab some more medium green here and blend this up in here. It could be a different color. It could add some more browns to it. Or you can even add some like turquoise. I've got that cobalt turquoise light. I'm going to loosen this up and play with putting a little turquoise in here. And no one has to play with the greens, all the same. Get a little turquoise fun, kind of peeking through. Little tippy taps here. Coming out. Grab some more yellow. Just kind of tap out here. Play with the turquoise a little bit. Adding that color in. I like the various tones of the greens. Just playing with that. I've got this nice soft field happening here. I've got that darker color, really dark Prussian blue with a little bit of brown. I'm grabbing a little bit of brown here. Playing with that. while it's still damp, just going to kind of take some of that and tap it out this way. That was my dog. If you heard that noise. If you've watched me on Instagram and you see my dog Brady, he is a mini golden doodle and he's the cutest. I'm just tapping some of that green here. And I want to put some grass kind of back here. Now I could use this brush, or I could scrape a little bit with the credit card. You can scrape when it's damp. You get the white, scrape when it's wet to get lines of darker color coming through. What happens is the paint seeps into the paper. So this is cool. You get some grasses happening back here. Or use a liner brush. I have a Princeton No. 4 Umbria series. We can start to play with adding some of this. Right? It's a little wet here. It's a little dry down the bottom. Start to play with the grasses a little bit like this. Oh, trying to get my water and blend this. And I'm grabbing this darker greens. And it's easy to pull the grasses through while it's dry down here until it's, when you remove the masking fluid, it's going to be much harder. So take from the flowers and kind of just pull down from where the flowers are for the stems. And just go down like that. Kind of connect it. I like them leaning. It just seems to be more free, makes more sense. We're just grabbing that thicker, darker watercolor with that Prussian blue and the burnt umber. Just connecting. You can put some actual leaves on these too. And be kind of nice in the front that you have some like actual little sweet little leaves besides just grasses. You can also have some medium colors. I don't want to, they could kind of look sticky, so I'm going to kind of blend it with my 12 Aqua Elite with a little bit of water. It looks so skinny, stick-like. Some of them I don't mind it, but some of the other ones I don't like it. Okay. So we've got a lot of grass happening, little teeny lines back here, going up into the top. And it's still very damp. Take your time with this. Okay, at this point, I think it makes sense to let it dry. And we'll come back and we'll add in some realistic stems and little foot of leaves. So now let's dry. I'm going to remove the masking fluid. I use this thing called a rubber cement pickup. It's a little rubber kind of thing. And I use the corners of it to pick it up. It's the best tool instead of trying to use tape or something like that. It's in my Amazon shop. You can just kind of roll across this, put pressure on it. And look. Now that white is going to be really bright. And we want to tone it down a little bit. Right? Put a little gray in there, a little blue. So I'll grab my Princeton 8 long round, remove some of this green paint here out of the way, and we'll mix up a little bit of gray. So ultramarine blue deep and a little bit of burnt sienna. Just makes the perfect little gray. And just put a little bit on your brush, and we're just going to add a little bit of gray, tone it down on like the left hand side of some of these little blooms here. Just tap it. Left hand bottom side. Just adding a little bit of gray. Shadow. It just takes that super bright white away. You can add a little bit to the little petals of the wonderful little, if you did daisies, you don't have to do daisies. If you just did dots, that's fine. It just gives it a little bit more three-dimensionality just by adding a little bit. You can make it a little bit darker too. So here's a little deeper color. Let me zoom in so you can see. See, you can make a little bit, oh, that's a little too brown. More blue. So I'm making a little bit deeper. So that one was just a little bit darker. I'm going to lift that one up. I get a little too out of control with my color. Just see, I'm just tapping a little bit of this deeper color on some of them, not all of them. And it'll just kind of look like really more intense shadow happening under the flower. Okay. And then, because some of them will be daisies, we'll just take the yellow, cadmium yellow deep, right from the tube. Just grab it right on the tip of your brush. I'm just going to tap the center on some of these that look like daisies. Some of them don't. They could just be little wildflowers. Sweet though, right? Just a simple daisy. You can actually just tap in yellow itself. So, white watercolor. I don't know if you ever tried it. This is a Winsor & Newton. And we take this white watercolor and mix it in with some of our light green. So yellow and maybe even peacock blue. Same brush. Activate my peacock. Get a nice light green. You can even add a little brown to that. And it should just sit right on top of the dark areas, see? So you can add some real intense lighter areas. And then you can add little leaves on that. I wouldn't do it everywhere, but that's a little trick. Now it might get a little translucent, it might not. But you see, my brush is not making it thin enough. If it's not making it thin enough, this is why we have the liner brush. Pick up this lovely paint. I'm going to grab a little bit more white. Get this really nice light little, just a nice little release going over the dark and adding little taps for the grass. This is just a small, minor little thing, but I add a little punch to it. I'm going to put some back here. Oh, goodness. Not wanting to cooperate. There we go. Some little light ones back there. Almost yellowish. And then in the front. Little skinny guys. And that's pretty much it. It's just a fun little tutorial. And you can go back and grab some deeper colors once it's dry too, and add some dark ones too. And they don't have to be all green. You know, we've got some browns happening in the fields. So it can be like a brown stem kind of bending, the twig. Get creative with it. Have some fun. That's a sweet little card, right? With the sky, the nice pink sky. You could even take the white watercolor and do some tiny little taps out here for little teeny bloom clusters way out in the field. Going off out here. Just really sweet. Wasn't that great? Like I said, take the liner brush, have fun with this. Get some deeper, like nice grasses up front. Oh boy, can't mix my color. You always want them bending and curving and moving and going a little bit crazy. And then you can always add, besides just the white, you can take some yellow paint right out of the tube and make some little yellow flowers. They could be kind of hanging out as well. Depends on how you want to make your little field. Isn't that great? So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts. Play around with playing these techniques. This is great for beginner. If you're a Patreon member, you get the additional tutorial, which is this. We're going a little bit more advanced here, showing shadows and masking in some flowers and doing a bumblebee, a little drawing as well. You can click the link below if you would like to join my Patreon and get this tutorial. So thank you so much for stopping by. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.